Collective, it's Al, and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm actually going to talk about a really fascinating conversation that I had with my higher self and with the divine that I just wanted to share with you guys. I was actually on my way to, somebody had given me a gift card. I'm still on mission, so I'm still not making money or anything, so I'm still doing what I'm supposed to be doing, and working with the homeless and all that stuff, and actually being part of that community and understanding what that's all about. And so someone had given me a gift card. And so I was super excited. I was like, I'm going to go get some super glue because I'm working on an art project. Anyway, the moral story is that I went, and as I'm going to Target, which is where the card was for, I suddenly got, my intuition said, get off here. And so I got off, and I found myself in the middle of downtown Los Angeles, and I was walking towards Skid Row. And I'm listening to music because they had passed by Starbucks, so they had Wi-Fi. Because government phone and all that stuff. I gotta abide by the mission, the rules. And so I'm sitting there, and I had just enough time to hear music. And wouldn't you know it was Justin Bieber's song "Lonely." And I was like, well, what are the freaking odds of that? And so as I'm walking around, I'm just kind of talking to myself in my head, like we all do, just working on thoughts and things. And I was in the middle of Skid Row, and I had that moment where I fully showed up for myself and said, okay, we're done now. And I was like, what? And I got it immediately. I had started the mission on Skid Row. And so I had obviously finished my cycle, and we're done. And I went, oh, okay. And so then I was looking at it from immediately a different perspective. And suddenly I got this very, very important message for the collective that came through very clearly. Let me change position here so I can get up all close. Let's say that a group of people have this energy field around them, and they're being pushed forward in very big ways. They're in the middle of these massive transformations, and they can feel something amazing. A huge tower is about to hit them. Everything's about to collapse, but in a good way. And they're having to abide by divine timing. And so they're kind of like I was. When do we find out? All that. And you're trying to, because we're human. Even though we're divine souls, we're still human, and we're working on behalf of the divine, so we understand that. And so everybody's trying to be patient. Nobody likes to hear, temperance and balance and all that stuff. But what I'm going to tell you is going to flip that on its side. Okay. So, if you are in this particular frequency that I'm addressing, then you have been super changing in the past, especially in the past since 2021. Suddenly you are revamping things, and you're doing stuff in whole new ways. You're connecting with people that you didn't necessarily know that you liked at first, but you're being pushed towards each other. Now, in that frequency, if you are part of this frequency, you all have been working on your vision and how that would help and benefit the collective total sum of humanity. In that grouping, what you don't know is that you've been through your maturation process, and you are at the top, right? And you have been presenting that to your higher self and to the divine in order to make a real big difference and help the collective. So the group I'm talking to is spiritual leaders, the top new leadership that's about to be presented to the world. The thing is that we also had to go through the period through 2020 of maturation, which meant that those affected with ego were competing with one another. Those affected with not ego were being pulled away from it because they were I don't want to deal with that. And so they started to break this canvas into two. And so this past process of maturation has been the divine kind of pushing us towards an image, a canvas. So what we don't know is during the entire process, we've all been mastering ourselves and creating our vision for the world and how we are going to step into from kings to emperors or queens to empresses or high priestess or high priest, whatever it is, hierophant. But what you don't know is that the entire time, the artist, the divine, had something in mind. An overall image. So some may feel in a moment when all of this goes forward that they didn't succeed in getting exactly what they wanted. Here's where the walk was so important. You do. There is a plan amongst the image, a single point that holds the thread where all the other threads are going to come through. And that means that everyone that is part of that image, of whatever the canvas is that the divine has in mind, this individual thing has become the spokesman. That's it. Because the way it was explained to me, what they explained to me is that this person did something that most of us didn't do. They included everybody else without ever being told to include everybody else in the image. So, if you are one of those people who had a brilliant idea on how to do all of this and how to best service the divine and stuff, understand that whatever the plan is that's about to come forward, that there's a reward cycle for all of it, includes everyone equally. Okay? The individual is so humble that they wanted everyone equally included in the overall image. And the divine chose that vessel because of the fact that that person never thought to not include everyone else. There was never any competition. It was always, I thought this was a collective venture. Everybody comes, how else are we going to do this if we don't raise everybody equally at once? The statement that I got best was, how do you raise the vibration of a planet? You raise the people of the planet. You raise them up. And the only way to do that is to do it with a big enough, where you step far back enough that you see your part of the image. And if you can see and project what you think the divine is looking at, if you can step far back enough, then everybody in the image is equally important to the overall arc of that canvas. So just know that whatever's about to happen includes you. It's a win-win-win-win-win-win-win situation. So be cautious right now. This is for my higher self. So just sorry, I have like my beard. I don't have any trimmers here at this where I'm at, because I'm still on mission and I'm still with the homeless and all that stuff. So I don't have a way to trim it. So sometimes when I talk, like my hair right here, it like tickles my nose. Anyway, the moral story is, just know that this is not the time to lick your wounds and be all, oh, why isn't my vision, blah, blah. You won. You won. Look at me. Everyone who is involved on this frequency won. So, why am I saying this? Okay. And why me? The reason it came through me is because I've always suffered from lower ego. I've never really, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to go into the whole story, but I don't have a big ego. So for me, it's really easy for me to say, hey, I may not have one. You know what I mean? Like, I don't look at the world through winning or losing. I look at the world through just love. I'm kind of like a big love ball, and it's a little annoying to a lot of people. Like, you either love me or you hate me. That's good. But the point is, so I was a good vessel to just say this without putting in my own conjecture here. So the reason I'm bringing this all up is because something is about to happen that does not matter to any of you other than to know that everybody wins in this scenario. Everyone on this frequency that's attracted to this message, you win. You win. Someone is just a spokesman, has the name. It's the conductor to the symphony that you belong to, that the divine has created. Okay? So, every symphony has the first string flutist. Everyone has a pianist. Everyone has a first string violinist. You get it? You're the top of the top. It's just that someone had to be the conductor, because the divine is actually the one who created the piece. See what I'm saying? So everybody had to fit their parts. So right now, don't get all, well, why that person? Oh my gosh, let me tell you, when I even thought that question, I'm like, what if people get like all egoish? Then the divine straight out said, then they're out. There is no, I'm just saying this very carefully because that was a phrase to me because I was a little nervous. My reaction was like, okay. There is no ego in the master's realm. Leave that shit at the door. Okay, that's all I'm going to say. Okay. So, you all are at this point of, you're about to step forward into the world with what your canvas was, right? And you don't know it, but you are all part of a huge symphony that's about to just change the world over, and it's going to be a big fucking thing, and everything that we've ever dreamt up, blah, 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 blah. Okay. So you have that vision. Well, in that vision, what is the way that you're changing the world, what you presented? Who is it that it will affect? So now we're going from just your image and notes and stuff to what you're actually going to do once you achieve that. So that requires divine timing, right? Because everybody's basically sitting around doing what I was doing, which is I don't know what to do with myself until we understand exactly how this is going to move forward, but we all just know that we won. Okay. So which makes it a little bit more, it makes it a little harder until I tell you what I'm going to say. Walk. Do a lot of walking right now. Because if you understand what I'm saying, if you're vibing with this, then you totally get it. Like, you know that you just won, and you're just like, yeah. Now what? Well, we have to wait for all the pieces to come together, right? Like, it's just the way it is. I understand that the conductor is totally on top of this, but and we're moving. Otherwise, they wouldn't have told me. So, who are you affecting? What is your platform, right? Like, if you're going to revolutionize something for women's rights or gay rights or end racism, whatever you're doing, because the divine is very clear, we are changing the world over. We're raising the vibration of the planet, and we're going to make a whole new experience for everybody. The one that rewards people equally and that gets rid of hypocrisy and all this other stuff. Like, this is like a beautiful piece coming. Okay. Who are you personally attaching yourself to helping? For example, I was sent on mission for a whole year now, right? Like, and I'm at the end of it. In fact, the reason I stopped there was because I was originally going to go to, like I said, Target, and then my instinct told me to get off, and I ended up in Skid Row. Well, where did I begin the year mission? On Skid Row. That was the mission. And so, ding, 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 I'm done. It was a clear indication that I'm done. So we're at the edge. We're at the precipice of moving. And of course, what better way to remind me of who I'm going to be helping than being with the homeless? So I'm going to be helping the homeless, autism, people in insane asylums, which will connect to someone else who's also in the same frequency. And so start to look at this is how they phrase it. Look at your suggested feed and your just suggested content on YouTube if you're a YouTube star. Or a YouTube channel. I don't know why I said star. I guess that's a psychic slip for the future, but whatever it is. Because it's an algorithm, and I've said this before, an algorithm is just the statistical probability that you will enjoy the content based on your likes in your normal activity, right? Well, that falls under the matrix. Well, who runs the matrix? God runs the matrix. So stop worrying about human aspect of it. We're now dealing as souls. So why is your soul being driven to those first two lines of suggested content? If you are somebody who is a minister, and you see other ministers that are, equal or whatnot, why are you it's not competition, you're way above that ego shit. So why are you being pushed in that direction? So just look at them. Is the content yours? No, because usually you'll look at it and you'll go, well, I already knew that. Well, then look at it for another perspective. Why are they there? If you are a tarot reader and you're getting the same people over and over again, but you don't know who they are, take a minute, look at them and see if there's an energy connection. Because let's say that you are going to be one day a teacher, or you're going to be a lecturer or motivational coach. How did you achieve this reward cycle that we're walking into? By paying it forward. So are you going to be paying it forward somehow in your vision and start to literally list what that is? Now, there's an incredibly brilliant woman who's on YouTube who, anyway, she's brilliant. She just, she always knows when to take a minute. So the point is that she took a minute the other day to explain to us that you should be taking notes. Now remember, guys, you're on the same frequency. You're not competing anymore. Leave the ego at the door. Because like I say that it was my canvas ever. Just so you guys know, I don't put up a drama for shit. The divine has handed me something so big that it's not going to work. Because you should be at a state of non-ego. Because it's not about you anymore. If you are in the reward cycle that we're about to get, then you are being rewarded. Who are you helping raise? That's where your mind is. Are you on your behalf or are you on the divine's behalf? That is super key. Like I have two channels. I have altruistic channels, Arevalo, which is my informal channel, which is what I curse and we talk banter and blah, blah, blah. But altruistic channel serves the divine. So very clearly I was told, don't curse on that channel anymore. You can think of it as branding, but if you're working for the divine, am I in the service of myself here? Am I giving personal opinion or channeling for the collective, or am I acting on behalf of the divine? Am I actually on mission? Two separate platforms. And start to train yourself that way. So I'm just saying, be very cautious of the ego right now, because we're being funneled into frequencies, and that's one of the big things that will get you thrown out of the frequency. Because it just there's no drama in a master drama. I can't say that enough. They kept harping that. The ego needs to be left, because the the divine God, Allah, whoever you believe in, has a much better idea than we could ever possibly know yet. So let's start working towards each other and together. So if they're in your content, then stop and say, well, I already knew the information. Let me look at this person energetically. And you just kind of read them and listen to their voice or whatever it is. But just pay attention, because there's just stuff. The divine will talk to you in whatever way they can. There's prophets out there who don't need it. But if it's the same person showing up, then take a moment to go, why is this motherfucker on my page? And then you look at it and you go, oh, I get it. We're on the same frequency. You see what I'm saying? Because at some point, from what I'm understanding, our timelines are going to start coming together. Right? We don't know how yet, because it hasn't been presented, but just know that. And a perfect example is last week I told you guys about Oprah being in the second slot, and it was her masterclass, but it wasn't just anybody. It was her on her second video within that masterclass, so 2-2. And it was like an epiphany that I needed to understand, and it helped me understand my place in all of this. Okay. This week, there's Tyler Perry in the same exact spot. I didn't know that he and I are from New Orleans. In fact, I didn't know how much I had in common with Tyler Perry. I mean, I was mind blown. And when did it happen? It happened right around midnight. I don't know if it has to do with the reset that happens with the algorithm on YouTube. I didn't investigate or anything. But he was in the second slot where Oprah was. And it was him telling his story. It was like her masterclass. And then I stopped and I watched it, all night. And I was like, wow, I didn't know I had that much in common with him. But if I wouldn't have, I just would have thought it was something related to one of his fantastic movies or Medea. And of course, that's the very next thing I did. So this morning when I got up, I'm like, I can't get enough of Medea. And in the same slot was Tyler Perry's Medea and the Let Them Go speech. If that was not the most perfect thing I needed to hear right now. I had mentioned in my article piece that I had put on Altruistic Channels, which is a sister website, yesterday, where I read the entire article on the New World. And in it I said, if they want to eat cake, let them fucking eat cake. Well, it's kind of similar to the Let Them Go, only he does a fucking much better job at this. But it was amazing, right? And so I'm sitting and watching it, and he's like, if people want to leave your life, let them go. So right now, what I'm saying is that there are a lot of people who are going to be in transition in your life. And remember, I mentioned the trickster. The trickster is not your frenemy's friend, but it is your best friend right now. Because anybody who's going to fuck you over, in like a Judas scenario, again, referring back to someone who's equally brilliant, but we still haven't been brought together, so I'm not going to but she knows who she is, and I'm totally giving her credit for all of it. But she was talking about the Judas principle. You know what I mean? Like, it's someone you know. It's usually someone that is very close to you, a relative, and so forth, that is the betrayer, right? And it's a lesson that you're going to learn if you don't cut them off soon. So the trickster is the precursor to that energy. Temperance sits here, and her brother, the trickster, sits here. And when we are lower expression, egoish, and stuck in a negative mindset, the trickster fucks our lives up, because they tower after tower after tower. It's the voice, that's, like I said, that will get you to get into your car if you're only going a block and make sure that no one else is around, but it'll crash you, not even 2 doors from your house, into a parked car, just so you get arrested. In that moment, you fucking hate the trickster. But what you don't know is that 2 weeks from that moment, if they hadn't done that, you would have plummeted into a car with 4 people and killed the twin 9-year-olds. And you would have carried that karma forward. You see what I'm saying? So, perspective. So, he was talking about the Let Him Go conversation and about that. And so just remember that if you were suddenly finding yourself under a little bit of a situation where people that you thought were, like if you're dreaming of them or whatnot, be aware that it's the trickster just saying, as your best friend, going, beware of this fucking person. I can't tell you why. You have free will, and you can change this on your own. I can't tell you. But flag, 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 flag. And just take it. Because what happens is if you are a king or a queen, and you have moved into emperor and empress, and you have your own empire now, then if that person does something to you, you are not going to shake. You're just going to look at them and go, the trickster was right. Son of a bitch. And what happens? You are still right on top of everything. But if you don't see it coming, and there was no indication of it, and you were blindsided, what happens? Most of us will, and down to the ground. No. You are now stepping in on behalf of the divine. So the divine is now saying, it's time to step up. Okay, having said that. So as we move forward, the thing that I was told is for a little bit right now, we can sense that we're all on pause, like everybody's like ready to go, everybody's got their vision, everybody's got their plan, and we all now know that we're part of a bigger image, and so we're all about to come, start colliding with each other in really great, amazing, positive experiences. But we're still in the okay. The way that it was phrased to me and what I was supposed to say is take this time to now reflect on what it is that your canvas, what your vision is, and how you're going to change the world affects the overall group. Who is your target audience that you are helping, and who are you trying to get to help you to do it? And then start bringing those images into it, right? And so, like for me, it's the homeless, autistic, it's the people in the insane asylum, it's people, like I have a whole list of people, child trafficking is super big for me. And so understand that that's what is being asked of you now. So take the time and then go to the extension. Okay, the tree, and this goes back to Perry. So as I'm watching Tyler Perry in that second slot, he is, I think in the same speech, he starts to talk about if you, that most people in your life are leaves. When the wind blows, they'll go this way, or when the wind blows that way, they go that way. And then just flick off and you'll never see it again. Like they're just leaves, they're like they're not part of the structure. So just let it go, let them go. And then there are people that you got to be careful of, which are branches. Now, these people you think are going to be there for you, they're like cousins and brothers and sisters and family, but as soon as you actually rely on them, the branch breaks and you go straight down. You know what I'm saying? And then if you're lucky, as Medea explained it, you're going to have roots. It's going to be 2 or 3 to 4 people that you are lucky if you have that many, that you can count on. And it's like, but it's only 2 to 3 people. See what I'm saying? Because they're going to be the substance and they're going to give you the nutrition that keeps you growing and never will betray you. But that's only 3 people. That doesn't even typically include our partners. You see what I'm saying? Like these are like usually your mama, your daddy, and then maybe one other, but whatever it is for you. So be advised that your partner, now, as she had put it, you can't just marry any. You see what I'm saying? So you've got to start going bigger and bigger. How big is your image? Because where we were once just thinking that we were just going to be emperors of our own kingdom, now we're realizing that we're going to create kingdoms in a new world. Get it? So we were thinking small, we were getting our little castle, and we were going to be happy. And something right now is about to happen. It's going to make you go to empire in a new world. Who are you target audience? Who are you trying to help? How are you going to do it? Which takes me back to downtown LA. So I'm walking around downtown, and I'm in Skid Row, and I was like, I'm going to go over to this little mini mart. And wouldn't you know it, I started looking at all the people there. I realized that most places are really not making any money. But these are people that are my communities, are Hispanic and African American people who are working their ass off. And I realized that if I ever have a canvas, if I ever have a platform with some resources, I'm not going to get endorsements just to give me their stuff. They can dress me if they want. But I'm going to go to my people, and I'm going to use them for all of the gifts and stuff that goes to people I'm helping. If I'm going to be helping to orphanages, then I'm going to go get the tchotchke shit from my own neighborhood. And the divine goes, good, I was hoping you'd get that. That's a hint. Look at where you're from, guys. Remember, you can help your own environments. We're part of a community that's helping the world. Help your own community first. Walk around for the next couple of days, since we're all waiting anyway to see how this all pans out. Just walk around and start looking at what you can do regionally that helps the economy, to helping the people who are barely hanging on. You don't have to go with anybody else. You can go by yourself with the mask. I mean, by this point, y'all shouldn't be fearing this crap anyway. Like, at this point, you also must be like, I can't wait to get this shit off my face. But for the moment, we're all being told to abide by the rules. So you can go by yourself. And you just start looking at people, and what you want to do is what I did today, at least, is I started to energetically connect with people. So I would walk by and I'd look in the store and I was like, okay, no. And you don't tell the people, but you're like, and so you start to look at who you are being drawn to, like in your content. I'll give you a perfect example with the content. I am minding my own business in the second slot again today when I got home. Was a man by the name of Tanner Patrick, Tanner Patrick. I've never met this man in my life. I have no idea what he's doing in my content, but I stopped to listen to him sing. And wouldn't you know it, I was impressed. You see what I'm saying? So who knows what tomorrow holds? But of all the people to show up on my fucking content, that dude showed up, and I wrote it down. See what I'm saying? So when you're walking around and you're looking at these neighborhood places that you like to frequent, and you look at yourself and you go, well, ego tells me I want to keep it to myself. But if I'm really being honest, I'm trying to help the collective raise the vibration, right? How do you help raise the vibration of a planet? You raise the people of that planet. So you're going to want to reward them. So for me, like now I know. It's something I never thought about. I will literally go over there, and if I need to get some tchotchke stuff or stuff that I'm going to go regional. I'm going to go regional first, and sponsorship will dress me and whatever else they wanted. I mean, I started thinking long term, and so I think that that's where our head should be at, because we're only as limited as we think we are. So I'm thinking ballpark, like I'm fucking, doing shit that like affects all these different industries and all this stuff, and I even have an idea and all. Evolution. Do you want to be a king and queen, or do you want to be the emperor, empress? And then beyond that, once you reach that status, do you want to be a high priest or a hierophant? There's no stopping us. So what is it that you want this olive branch to give you? And what are you willing to do to pay it back? It's paying it forward, right? You are being gifted because of all the struggle that you went through, because you are chosen by the divine to represent it in front of the world, to help the world save itself from complete destruction, because we're making some stupid badass choices, right? And so if you want to help, like let's say drug addicted people, then do some research on that and understand your platform. You see what I'm saying? So start branching out, because if this is all coming to me now, then I'm pretty sure that it's pretty fast moving. This is not going to be very long. I don't know how necessarily. Because again, don't worry about the outcome. Just worry about what you're planning on doing when it arrives. This is all about faith. Do you have faith in yourself? Great. If you do you have faith in humanity? Because that's who you're helping. Do you have faith in the divine? Because sometimes you're going to be put in situations where you're not going to be the most comfortable. I'm going to tell you right now. Like, for example, if you don't think that I literally got a lecture the other day about the fact that I'm going to have to take on the church at some point because of the whole child molesting thing, you have another thing coming. Now, you may not have to do that, but that was specifically tasked for me, that I'm going to, at some point down the road, going to have to go and deal with cleaning that house. Now, do you think I wanted that task? And the divine said, do you want this or not? My higher self said yes. And I'm listening to the conversation. And it was really clear to me, actually, and I'm going to share with you what exactly was said, because you don't have to do this task. I'm just sharing with you to what degree I'm being tasked with stuff. But the question was, do you think that I am enjoying watching people who hold my house touch and relocate children or child molesters? And I answered, and I said, no. And he goes, so are you going to step up and do something about it? And I said, yes. Okay? So that's why I was in that little downtown area, because there's like all this little kid stuff. And I was like, you know what, maybe I'll do something with orphanages too. Or maybe I'm just supposed to give you guys ideas of all of the different things that you can do to help humanity. There's AIDS research that needs to be done. There are autistics where we're trying to figure out how to speak their language instead of trying to make them speak our language. There are dogs that are killed every day in cage fighting type of situations. We have this whole hypocrisy thing going on about beef. And I'm like, what? You eat chicken? What did fucking cock do to you? In fact, happy you can't stop chasing cock. You're fucking mad, you'll eat that, but you won't eat the fucking cow? You see what I'm saying? So where are your stances on stuff? Start getting involved, be a leader, get passionate, and so they said walk. Until all of this comes down the way that the divine wants it to come down, walk. It's the best advice I can give you, because I'm telling you, I love, and so now I understand why I don't have Wi-Fi on my phone. It's because I need quiet. And that's what is the big push for this situation here, which I hope that this is all moving at some point, because I'm seeking to create peace for the planet, and I can't even have it in my own home. You see what I'm saying? And it's not something within my... And so I'm looking at it, and I realize it's because they're trying to get me outside to walk around. They're trying to make sure that I don't get stagnant and just wait for the opportunity. I got to keep building. You got to keep going. You can't stop. You got to go. Like, this is the big leagues. You want this? You got to... What is that song? Work, bitch? You got to work, bitch. You want that Maserati? You got to work, bitch. You want this? You better fucking work. There's no... You know what I mean? Because, like I told you guys, I don't have any problem with the person. It's just the situation. And so it has nothing to do with it. And so when you know yourself, then you know that there's nothing wrong. So what is it trying to tell you? So look at the signs. What's going on in your neighborhood? What's going on with your neighborhood? What is going on with your ex? What's going on with all this stuff? And all of this is kind of preparing you because something is about to jump the fuck off. And you're going to be super happy. But everything you're going through right now is like final touches to your canvas. And so start thinking bigger and bigger and bigger. Because the worst thing that can happen is you don't reach all the way at the top. But if you even reach halfway to your own castle, you still have a fucking castle. There's no lose here. And if you're thinking that way, then you still have an ego, and that's a whole different topic. I'm going to just put this over. I think I already said this. But anything having to do with me, like if we end up working together and I've even sensed like we're ego clash, I'm going to just walk away. Like, nope. I have to deal with like legalities about trying to help people who are in insane asylums, and I'm trying to work with someone else on that when I meet her, and it's all this stuff, and I got all these real problems. You think I'm going to sit there and work with people who are bringing me drama and ego and chips on their shoulder? I'm going to be like, no. And the divine was very clear with me, like you might end up losing partnerships over that. I go, yes, but am I working for you or am I working for me? If it's me, I can deal with it. But if I'm working for you, I'm the one who has to go at the top, and I have to go and attest during Judgment Day, and it's my fucking soul that's going to be like, no one is coming between me and my judgment. Like, But within these places, these tribes that are being formed, we can rely on each other. It's a trusting environment if we can just let the walls go down. You see what I'm saying? And so if two people who are seem at odds with one another are being forced together, then you're doing it on behalf of not yourself, but because you and this person are somehow going to change the world. So we got to stop all that stuff. But when it comes to drama, there's no drama in the master's realm. It's law with the divine, because it just creates static. And how did we end up with child molesters in the fucking church in the first place? Because of hypocrisy. So when you start to let things slide that the divine is not cool with, then you start to let the devil in the house, and then you blaming everybody else. I'm not doing that. Like, if that isn't a situation, then it's not just, I still have to honor me, but I'm just doing it on the divine. So as long as the task gets done, I might just go, okay, well, I'm going to go look for someone else to do this task, because I'm not going to sit here and argue about what you want. It doesn't matter about you. I'm not here for you. I'm here for the homeless. I'm here for the child molesters. I'm here to make sure they get put in jail or whatever it is. You see what I'm saying? So think about where your stances are and have that border and have that, and because at the end of the day, like if I ever had my own kingdom, it's my ass that ends up on the line. But I have to check with the divine. It has to be in alignment with the divine. So if I know that someone's all drama coming towards me and they want to be partnering with me, I don't want that drama, because it creates static, or when I need clarity. Which is why we're being pulled into these frequencies, because the people that I'm being attracted, like being pushed to, no drama. I can guarantee you there will be no drama. It will be peaceful, it will be trusting, and we will have each other's back no matter what. I think that's heaven. To me, that is hog heaven. But you have to be willing to go to these places and think about it without spiraling, because then when you spiral, then you're not ready. See what I'm saying? So the more that you just go one time, that's why I do walking. Because when you're walking, you can't stay focused to it. There'll be a squirrel, and the squirrel will go, squirrel. And so you'll stop, you know what I mean? Like, just action. Watch your diet. Like, are you going to be someone that deals with physical, like, helping kids with PE or whatever? Then if you got a big old belly, are you doing it for you, or are you doing it for the divine? And more to the point, if you want to have kids, do you want to be around for the kid? Like just think about it all. And don't look at it from the standpoint like you're sacrificing, because I hear this all the time. What do I need to sacrifice? The only thing you should be sacrificing is negative mindsets, any type of hatred or intolerance, any type of ego, or anything that's negative that anchors you down to the ground instead of letting you fly, 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 fly. If anything helps you fly up, that's not a fucking sacrifice. That's a blessing. Right? I love how passionate I get sometimes. Trust me, there's a reason why the divine had me go through a lot. And then that's the other thing, guys. Every curse that you have had since childhood was to bring you to this moment. Because the moment that you owned it, you became worthy of spiritual leadership role. And you are now part of a massive, beautiful Monet painting that's about to be revealed. We just have to kind of bide our time, so that when this goes, the way that it was explained to me, is that once this goes, you won't even think twice about anybody else. The ego and all of the competition will just disappear once and for all, because you will see the peace and you will immediately get the brilliance of it. And The funny part is the person, the way my higher self said, and the weird part is that the person who led this was never told to think about everybody else. They just innately included everyone else in the piece. So don't ever take things personally. It's just that everybody has different skill sets, and it sounds like this person is just super humble. That's the only difference. It wasn't that anybody's idea is better than anybody else. It just, this carries everyone up at one time. That's all it will tell me. So just trust the system and just know that. Talk to the divine tonight. Get used to that and just know that you just won the lottery. We're just waiting for how the lottery manifests itself. That's all. Anyway, that's it for me, guys. I feel like I was preachy, and I'm not a big preacher. But I hope that brings you guys a lot of peace and enjoyment and a lot of excitement. Because I know for me, I haven't been able to sleep very well. And it's not just the music. It has to do with more like excitement. I'm just excited. Because I was anxious for a minute, and then once I actually did all of my planning and did my whole thing, and actually ironed out all of my own fears, now it's total excitement. I'm just like, oh, I can't wait to see how this works out. So a lot of working out. Which is nice. Have a good night.